Okay, I'll call the meeting of the Finance Committee to order tonight, and we are being televised tonight. And this is the start of our budget discussions for the next fiscal year. And we're going to start off with Jack Spanbauer of the Select Board. That's going to talk to us a little bit about cash flow and campus taxes and what it all means. Thanks for coming, Jack.
Well, my pleasure. Well, when we got when we set the tax rate at almost $18, everyone was pretty surprised, and it generated a lot of discussions on next door neighbors or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I was very interested how we got to that point and kind of what happened. So with the help of Beth and Deb, I got a bunch of numbers, and I'm putting together a narrative for the website about how the whole process works. But basically, the Finance Committee and the Select Board have been very conservative over that time. There's been some things beyond our control that resulted in that tax rate going up so much. The first page I gave you here shows the 4 classifications of property values in town over the past 9 years, and as you can see, the residential has dropped from 292 million to 272 million, which is all that's a result of every 3 years the town is reassessed, and it's based on market value of homes and residences in town. Then in fiscal year 11, you'll see commercial jumped up 26 million. That was the campus coming online. We were taxing them. Then in fiscal year 2018, you'll see that dropped 22 million, which the campus came off the tax rolls. So the campus coming off the tax rolls, I think, represents about $400,000 plus or minus a little bit in tax revenue,
Yeah.
which is about I think 80 cents, 75 or 80 cents on the tax rate. Also, if you'll notice, fiscal year 2014 to 15, the levy limit, if you look at the bottom 2 lines, increased 8%, and that was Dan's first year as town clerk. We had the tide override vote,
Yeah.
and that was another 75 cents on the tax rate. So just those 2 issues added $1.50 or more. And the reduction in the residential property, if your value goes up, you still have the same levy limit, your tax rate is going to have to go up to get to the levy limit. So those are 3 issues that contributed to the increase. Then I wanted to look at, well, we got that campus tax money for all those years. Did we spend it responsibly? It was always thought of as a one-time revenue source, and I think the Finance Committee followed through on that. The second page shows the capital expenditures that we approved at the various town meetings, fiscal year 12 through 18, and I took them off the town meeting warrants. I may have, if there's a mistake there, I apologize, but it was what I had for information resulted in that spreadsheet, and it resulted in over $4 million of capital expenditures for the town. Now, we received the campus money for 7 years at about 400,000 a year.
A year, yeah.
That's about 2.8 million over that time. So we went well beyond not using the campus money for the omnibus operating budget. It was used for all these one-time capital expenditures. So basically, I'm giving a pep talk, the conservative approach of the Finance Committee, and I have to say the Select Board over that period, kept us from expanding excessively the operating budget, and we were able to get a lot of improvements done. Having been through the budget process, fiscal year 2001 to 2009, we pretty much were unable to do any significant capital improvements unless an override was required and passed. So we got a lot done in the 7 years. Over that period, the stabilization fund was able to be increased from about $81,000 to over $1 million, and pretty much the 10 years preceding that, we were pretty much unable to expand it beyond the $80,000.
Yeah.
So
We were holding our breath all that time.
I wanted to make sure you know the tax bill's out, and being on the Finance Committee, if you had people asking you what the heck did you do with all that campus money, you can give them page 2 and page 3 and say, hey, we got a lot done, and this wasn't part of the operating budget. So at some point I'll finish the narrative to post on the website, and I'll work with Lois to get you electronic copies of that.
Very good.
Early editing stages.
Well, I appreciate that, yeah, and I think it's good for the public watching television to have that insight into why the taxes went up, what causes it, and also what we've done with the money over that period of time. I think, as you say, Select Board and Finance Committee have worked together on this and tried to make, good judgments as to the expenditures of the money, but and putting some in stabilization. You can remember for years that was an item, we'd always have an article on the warrant, we'd always have to say pass over it with no money. But it's a little bit more comfortable to know that we've got some in there, but now we have to keep saving some, keep it there.
And also on that first sheet, I want to point out, and the people at home don't have this, but it's important to notice that fiscal year 2017 and fiscal year 2018, the town did not tax to the levy limit.
That's true.
Both years, if we had taxed to the levy limit, it would have been another 33 cents on the tax rate.
Yeah.
But for 17, we were $175,000 under the levy limit, and 18, $163,000. And I think for the previous 15 years, we were essentially within $2,000 to $5,000 of the levy limit.
One thing I hope that people don't look at the stabilization fund and say, hey, that's a slush fund. No, because in the years past, we've used that up, and once it was used up, we were really in dire straits. So this is just for dire emergencies.
Right.
You get a roof failing or a boiler failing or something like that, you need something in reserve to cover it. People don't understand that some people don't understand that at town meeting time, we're allocating what we believe is all the available money that we want to spend. So then you get an emergency, it costs money, that's when you need your savings account.
So basically, I want to make sure if you get accosted by people that are shook up by their
Oh, yeah.
latest tax bill, you know, it's,
I've
the
had
finance
people-
committee's been very conservative, and the campus money's been definitely treated as one-time revenue and invested in the infrastructure for the town.
We've appreciated the cooperation of the select board in working together on this too. I think that's meant a lot. We try not to go, we've always said together here, we don't go on to town meeting floor with a conflict if we can help it.
Well, it's worked pretty well the past 16 years or so, so
All right.
I don't,
Anybody have any questions they want to ask of Jack about this?
The only thing is,
Comments?
I'm pretty sure the finance committee and the select board are on the same page about the issue of, obviously, we've lost the revenue from the campus to move towards a pilot negotiations with the campus. And that, I'm not saying that's gonna be a, easy, or we're gonna get, or if we get anything out of the campus, but I'm pretty sure you've already made, movement or plans to speak with the St. Thomas Aquinas about a pilot, is that correct?
Assessor.
the town administrator has talked to the, is it DW Moody people?
Yeah.
Part of the campus is going
Yeah.
towards a religious institution.
Yes.
And he's spoken with them and come to some informal arrangement, which we hope to formalize in the next month. I don't know that, I'm not aware that he's talked to Thomas Aquinas yet.
Yeah. And aren't the assessors kind of following that with him?
Yeah, the assessors, we're actually meeting with the assessors next Tuesday to discuss the situation
Okay.
and make sure we're singing from the same sheet of music as them as well.
Yeah. You're right, Bernie. I mean, we need contributions.
New contribution, but also I want to show, by asking the question that the public, that the select board, the assessors, and all of us are thinking about it and are making moves to deal with that. We're not just, sitting on our hands waiting to, that we're actually, aggressively moving to talk to them about these issues and because of the significant loss of revenue to the town.
Some might say we're obsessing about it, so yes, we are.
No, I
Thinking
think we should
about
be
it all the
applauded
time.
for that.
Well, the thing is, legally, they're entitled to an exemption. However, they need fire protection,
Yes.
in some cases, police protection, ambulance need, and so forth. I don't think they're going to be setting up their own safety
Yeah.
departments and so forth. So those cost us money to provide those things, so justifies it. So, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
Okay,
Thank you
see
very
you
much.
later in the budget process.
Oh,
Okay,
yes, you
very
will.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the information.
All right, next we have Chief Layton to talk about the police budget. Hi, Rob. Before he begins, I want to call your attention to one thing. He sent, and I sent out to you people, corrected capital plan list. But on the actual operating budget, under the operating expense, it was just an oversight that police meetings and seminars for $2,000 was omitted. So you need to add that back, put that back in. It's blank.
Oh, I thought
And then that will add into the totals as well.
that's gonna make it 63,000. Okay.
It's the 1, 2, 3, 4,
Yeah.
fifth item down under operating expense. Okay, everybody found it?
Okay, yep, I was just wondering about this one. We'll go into that one.
This is the new total, 60. I've got it on this one, yeah. Okay, Rob, do you want to go through and explain about it to us?
Sure. Do you want me to start with the operating budget?
Yeah, actually, anything where there's a change.
I'll salary.
Well, the salaries, he's
Or
put the
set.
same figure in as budgeted for this year. And we know that
That's good.
that depends on COLA, what we come up with.
Right.
So, yeah,
That's good.
So I kept the salaries budget the same. It's level funded.
yeah.
As far as the operating expense, there was a couple of changes. Under police professional training, I added $3,000. And the reason for that was in the event that I have to send an officer to the police academy, the tuition is $3,000. So I added that.
Right there, I'll read the letter to you people that Rob sent at the end of December about that. Officer Poroskov was appointed as a full-time patrolman a short time ago. He is required to complete a basic training police academy, which is required for him to continue his duties in this position. The academy tuition is $3,000, as Rob just said, and there are other expenses related to this training. The state police will be holding a municipal training class in New Braintree commencing April 2nd. This expense was not anticipated or budgeted. He should be enrolled in this program and his training should not be delayed. And Rob says he would like to make the necessary arrangements and pay for this training and manage this within the current year's budget. However, this unexpected expense may cause me to exhaust my budget prior to the end of the fiscal year and may require a reserve fund transfer. Thank you for your continued support in providing the town of Northfield with a well-trained patrolman. Now, you've added in for another one over here, is that it, for another officer?
Right. In the event that, for whatever reason, I'm unable to get him into this upcoming academy, it's not written in stone yet, but they're looking to put through a class in April. But in the event that doesn't go through, I wanted to budget money for the next fiscal year to make sure that I had enough to send an officer through the academy.
By the way, you know everybody on here except Sue. Do you know Sue?
I know, so.
Okay, all right, we're all set, sorry.
So it looks like everything else is the same, but police officers, other supplies, you had it, well, not last year, $2,500,
You went up 134
No, he has not.
this time.
The only other increase that I put in was under uniforms and equipment,
Yeah,
and that was for an increase in uniforms, and that was per the union contract, 2%
no,
increase.
this is what I was wondering about. Your other supplies.
well,
You
the
zeroed that
supplies,
out
he didn't
pretty
have anything last year under it.
No,
So you don't need anything?
I mean, the current year is on other supplies.
Okay.
So, any questions on the operating budget? I want to talk about the capital expense, capital requests. Anything you have, Debbie, on that? Okay. On the capital plan that you all have copies of, well, the newest part on that is going to be the radio, so why don't you tell about that?
okay. So the current county radio system that we're operating with is having some issues.
It's old.
It's old, and they're having a hard time keeping it up. It's constantly being repaired. So they're projecting at some point we're going to end up moving to the 800 megahertz system. This is going to be very expensive. The system is already built in this area, but the radios themselves could be as much as $4,000.
So that's a radio for each car, or?
Well, that's a radio for each car plus a portable radio for each
Okay, because
officer.
I see two here, so you only have,
Correct. So what I'm doing is, this project hasn't started yet.
okay.
We're still working under the old radio system, but at some point that's going to change, and we're probably going to be going to the 800 megahertz system. So what I'm proposing is that we buy 2 mobile radios in the cruiser radio, in the cruisers. So when we finally end up going to the 800 megahertz system, we'll at least have already purchased some of the radios, so it's not one large expense for the town, because it'll be the police, fire, and EMS all going at once. The other reason that I'm requesting these radios is right now we can't speak directly to the state police or the environmental police in Massachusetts.
You would be able with these?
And we would be able to communicate directly with them now. Also, Winchester and Hinsdale are already on an 800 megahertz system, and we've never been able to communicate directly with them. So this would enable us to have...
So what's your fallback? You call them on a cell phone or something if you need to get a hold of
or
someone?
it has to be relayed through the dispatch center,
Oh, okay.
which could take
Sure.
time.
Yeah, it takes too much time.
So especially where our towns are bordering each other, there's been a lot of situations where we've really needed to speak directly with the officers that are on duty, and it's.
Is there any kind of grant or anything for something like this? Because it's new and you're going to almost have to have it.
Well, there may be a situation where when our system changes over,
You might be able to get a
we may be able to get some kind of a deal with this purchase.
Once everybody goes on that system.
But right now, there isn't.
Now, is the COG handling this centrally as far as the radios?
They would be involved, yeah.
Yeah. When are they going to be coming up with the funds for their part of it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. So that's why I'm requesting. The radios are about 4,000 a piece. So I've allotted a little extra for installation. And that would be this year. And then I would request 2 more radios next year. And then whenever the system finally does change over, I've estimated we'd need roughly 10 portable radios for the officers to have. So
the portable radios are about the same price as the in the cruiser one?
about, yep. And like I said, that might change. We might be able to buy at a discount.
Volume, yeah.
Work with other towns, maybe the volume, yeah.
You don't have a base radio in this building, you just go on cruisers and portables, correct?
We have a base radio
Yeah.
there.
Would that have to be replaced also?
Yeah, probably. Well, the thing is with the 800, if we have portable radios, we'd be able to use those inside the building.
Okay, all right. I didn't know what your setup was on that, so that's fine. I know most communities are facing the same thing that Northfield is. Our park community where I lived in was doing the same thing, this being rate, and that's what they were costing. We have price estimates, so what he's asking for is not out of line. Clearly, that's what the cost is,
Yeah.
and it is expensive.
So
Longevity of these radios, once you get them, they give you a warrant. I mean, are we looking at replacing them in 5 years or something like that? Or?
I wouldn't imagine. I would hope that they would last
Longevity's
longer than
pretty good.
5 years. I know the portables that we're using now have lasted, since this system was put in. So, yeah, they've held up.
So we're gonna, as he said, we're gonna have 3 departments needing these, EMS and the fire department.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Can anticipate them too, then, huh?
Mm.
We can anticipate
Yeah.
them coming in.
Yeah. Now, the other thing on that's changed is on your capital requests, you're down way ahead on replacement of cruisers. We know when those are coming out. But the one that you've got coming up for this next fiscal year, you're going up to 48,000 rather than the 45. Well, the others are projected to be 48 anyway. You think it's going up?
Yes.
Ahead of time, earlier, whatever.
And there's also some other equipment that I'm going to need to get replaced for that cruiser. For instance, one of our AEDs, defibrillators, is not working. So we have 3 where normally we have 4, 1 for each cruiser. So I'm going to have to get a new AED for that cruiser. So that was the other reason that I went with the higher
They
amount.
wear out or they get old or what?
Yeah, I don't know what the issue was with this
Battery
one,
died or
but we tried putting in new batteries and
Yeah.
there's some type of an issue with it, so.
All right. Any questions from anybody on any of that? One other thing I wanted to just mention and bring out so people know. You lost a cruiser here a while ago
Yes,
to an accident, and the insurance company declared it totaled.
that's
I
right.
Is
believe.
that the old one? The oldest one?
But it was the
Oh,
oldest
okay.
one, yes. So, however, as far as, just so everybody knows, as far as the insurance money coming in, it goes into the general fund. There's another procedure, but this happens, that it will go into the general fund, right?
Well, we talked about it, and there is a statute that allows it to be used for replacing
But,
or repairing the equipment, but it's not enough to replace the equipment.
no, and the
So-
timelines on it, and so he's not talking about this until after July 1st. And so, just so people remember, how much did come in? 12,000, something like that?
I think it was a little over 10,000.
A little over 10?
10.5.
Okay, so, in other words, that's probably a little more than we would have gotten for a trade-in on the thing.
It's a lot more than we would have got for a trade.
It's
So,
like, go out and trash your vehicles to get insurance money, please.
so, in other words, it's in the general fund, but you know, that's kind of, you gotta keep in your mind that that's something toward this replacement cruiser anyway. So, but that's really not the way to do it, I guess.
No.
Anybody, no questions, nothing you wanna ask Rob about it? All right,
All right.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Eric.
How are you all doing?
Good, thanks. I just want to make sure you know everybody. You know, she used to be a sewer commissioner, so watch out.
I don't think. Oh, are you Dave's wife? Okay then. I know Dave very well, so. But no, I do not. Now I do.
Sue
So,
Kaczynski.
yeah.
And you know Bernie,
I'm not sure.
I was here for last year's fiscal.
Were you?
Yes,
Bernie
so-
Parada.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know
think-
you.
Then this is Alex Meisner. He's our newest sewer commissioner. He volunteered to come with me tonight to
Good.
come see the process and see how things go. So.
My breakthrough in town politics. So
Okay.
And we thank you for that.
Yes, thank you very much for stepping up. They went with 2 commissioners for a while, didn't you?
No, we had the whole crew. We had everybody.
third
We
one?
had Ray, Paul. Oh, no, wait, Ray did. Yeah, so it was. Yeah, we worked for 2. We had Paul and Dan for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're back up to 3.
Now you're there to referee.
well, I look at it as getting experience.
That's good. I'm glad you're there. All right. Here we've got an enterprise fund for the sewer. So all the first part of it is wages and collector and so forth. Those are all dependent on what we decide on for COLA.
Yeah.
And then,
I got all those figures off of this year's
yes, sure.
pay rates and such.
Yeah,
So.
Debbie takes care of that one if we make a decision about that.
Yeah.
As
And-
far as the COLA goes.
And COLA and steps if there are any, right?
Yes, but there is an increase in
2 areas.
the on-call area.
Well, there's 2 increases on it.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
the
just-
part-time as well, because of staffing.
part-time
Well, yeah.
and the on-call,
And then the
yes.
on-call. The part-time, once the new commissioners came on, they decided they wanted me to go to a set schedule. I was working a flexible schedule, whereas I was working every other weekend.
Yeah,
So the part-time guy I had doing weekends for me only worked
Yeah.
2 weekends a month. Now he's working 4 weekends a month. So that's the disparity or that's the change in the part-time wages.
I see.
Everything else is exactly the same with that.
So that went up about,
About 5, well, a little under 5.
yeah,
And then the on-call, we started. It's a call phone. It's for emergencies. It's $20 a day. Whoever holds the phone. For the first 5 years I was here, I couldn't go hardly anywhere away from here because I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And I asked them if that's something, because other towns do the on-call phone, and the person who holds it that way, I can give it to either one of my part-time guys and feel confident that they'll come in. And before there was no, I mean, I could say, well, that guy was on call, and all they have to say is, no, I won't. So
Okay, now,
it's
so somebody is holding this in
Absolutely.
case of emergency at any
Absolutely.
time, and they could get to the plant.
the phone number's on the website. It's on our answer machine down there. If there's an
Okay.
emergency or whatever, they can call if they have a breakout in town or something on town,
Sure.
a blockage, or if the plant calls out, it calls right to that phone first. It still calls my phone,
Yeah.
like the automatic dialer, but it calls them first. They have a chance to do it before I gotta come in. So
But tell me about this, $20 a day for that?
yes, yeah. I mean, most towns are more than that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the cheapest way, rather than giving cell phones to, I guess.
Well, if you want, like the part-time guys, they're only getting between.
This is a cell
8
phone of sorts.
Yeah. Oh, it's a cell phone. We hand it off whenever
Yeah,
it's their
yeah,
turn.
I see.
I'm sorry, Deb. Did you have something to say?
It seems like you're missing the point.
Yeah.
They're getting paid $20 a day.
Oh, I am
just for
missing it then.
Just
Just for
for
having the
holding the
phone.
phone.
Oh,
It's an okay. It's an
There's
accountability
one,
thing.
There's one phone,
Yeah.
That's
and
$3
they
for
pass
5
it to
days
the
a year.
person.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
I
And the
get-
person that's holding that phone gets the $20.
Okay, I thought it was the cost of it. I'm sorry.
And they're
Good,
paid
thanks.
to answer that phone and be available to come in and be, of right mind and body to be able to come in. So, that was like the accountability. We were worried, I can say, like I said, I could say that person's on call, but and when it comes down to it, I'm the one who it all falls back on.
Yeah.
So this way it gives some kind of accountability. Plus, they're a part-time person. To have them do that, the $20
Somebody's got
a
to
day,
stay
yes,
around to
absolutely.
be able to
For being
answer.
here.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Give me a little bit of a break and a peace of mind whenever I do,
yeah,
so I can go, not just stay within an hour or 45 minutes, so I know I can get here. So,
yeah. I get it. Okay.
okay. Sorry about the confusion.
You've got to have coverage down there 24/7, haven't you?
Absolutely. Any kind of emergency could be a public health issue. So
Sure,
yes,
sure.
absolutely.
Okay,
So, so that was the ones in the wages part.
yeah,
As we move down to the O&M budget,
yeah,
that the budget itself is actually less than last year's.
yes.
One main line item went away. It was the $1,600 for sewer department repair. That was actually for rental of the truck that I used to rent from highway. So that's why that went away. That's $1,600. It's 52400.
See it.
The fourth one down there.
Yes, yeah. good.
That went away. So the funds that I needed in other accounts, I just allocated out of that.
You went up $200 on water down there, that's the,
That's the
Water
water
district,
district bringing
yeah.
up I mean, like this time here, I might be a little shy, but I'll probably make it up in the rest of my budget, so I'm not worried.
their rates are going up.
The telephone went up.
Yeah,
Obviously, we have to pay for the on-call phone. It's $30 a month. Or no, actually, yeah, it's $30 a month. And then, let's see.
now, is there a landline down there at the
I have
plant?
2 landlines. I have one dedicated one that goes to the answering machine where people can leave messages, and then I have another landline that actually is on my automatic dialer for we have 4 different alarms down there that'll call the on-call phone and call my phone. Like if there's
Yeah.
an emergency, like if we lose a pump, we have a couple pumps that are on it. If we lose power, it calls me, or it calls the on-call phone.
Okay,
So yeah, we have 2 landlines and a cell phone that's paid through the telephone.
Okay.
And then I get a stipend for my phone every month. So
okay. So much toward the cost of the monthly cost of your cell phone?
yes. Let's see. I want to say, what other one we got? Sewer department dues went up to $450, just because you can see already this year we paid $405 and that's for renewals. That's for our membership in Mass Rural Water. That's all our dues, and I just wanted to make sure that I had enough in the account to cover that. So, but those are really the only things that changed at all. The main thing for the rest of the budget that went up.
Okay, now
Oh,
Eric, over on the second page.
Yes.
You budgeted the same for the office, but I noticed you spent a lot more this year.
My computer crashed down.
Oh,
I had to buy a new computer.
Okay.
So that's why. Normally it wouldn't be that high. Normally it's just office paper, printer cartridges, things
Yeah.
like that. It happened actually right before billing went out this year.
oh,
Yeah. So,
okay.
but, so then on page 2, the other thing that went up was the principal on the notes, our loans that we have.
Yeah.
We have 2 loans out there right now. It's $165,000 total. We had originally $50,000 to start the inflow and infiltration and 20-year plan project.
Yeah.
We paid back $30,000 this year for that. That one will be paid off next year, but we are paying $23,000 a year for the $115,000 one that we took out, plus interest, of course.
Yeah.
And that's why the interest is up, and interest on the notes.
Yeah.
Because now we're paying interest on all 5 of those years to pay back that $115,000 right now, because those are all interest only for right now.
Okay. That fits with what you handle? Okay.
Yeah, Eric and I discussed the interest that maybe is high here, but at this point, we don't know what the rate is gonna be, so, on part of it anyway, so
Okay.
just,
Oh,
Yeah.
we had a nice long discussion. She explained it very well to me whenever I
Okay.
called up and wanted clarification, because I myself didn't
Sure.
understand how they took out the loans like that. So
Okay.
she definitely walked me through the process. So
And for the members here, Debbie has, and Eric would have it too, the end of December, when she gives us the balances in our, the account, she gives us the 2 enterprise fund balances too.
yeah, we're at 203,000, I think, in the enterprise fund right now, I believe.
oh no, she's talking about the budget report.
Okay, the budget.
Year-to-date
Oh,
budget.
okay, the up-to-date one. Okay.
All right. Any questions on
I just
that?
have one question as far as doing that.
Yes,
It's
sir.
on your gas. Is that gasoline for your vehicle?
That's gasoline for the vehicle, that's gasoline for all the mowers, weed whackers, chainsaws, everything.
So it looks like it's been about $400 per year. Is that correct? And you got $1,800 in there. Is that?
That was put in there before, hold on, where's that one at, John?
That's next to the last line on the first page.
Next to the, yeah.
Well, you got diesel.
Oh, okay, yep, diesel, then gas above it.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just looking at that, and for $1,800, and it looks like you're not gonna.
well, just to let you know, we did speak with the commissioners, and Alice can verify that, next year, now that all of them have a better handle on what we're doing, and so do I, we're gonna start maybe trimming a little bit.
Okay.
The
only reason I'm looking at some of these things, and if there's
They haven't spent it.
areas where you could actually cut back,
We're
we're gonna come into, well, you guys have your enterprise funds, but we're gonna be doing this with all of the departments coming in and looking at it really close and say, okay, well, I had $1,800 in there last year, or 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Let's look back 4 or 5 years and see what the average has, and try to be more realistic. We're going to have to be like that for the upcoming years, because we don't have a lot of wiggling room. So, and again,
But
I know you guys,
just so you know, and I know you probably already know that every year is different.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like this year already, I've already had 2 propane deliveries, it's probably almost as much money as last year's. So, you know, it's just,
Yeah,
it's
I
year to year.
understand that,
And if you cut too much, I mean, it's going back into the enterprise fund, so it is being used on the
True.
sewer users.
True.
So in the long run,
True.
that was one of the things that we discussed at our meeting, so.
Okay.
In every meeting that we've had, we've always made sure that we've had the mindset of trying to save as much as possible.
Yeah,
We've
'cause
told
what it is,
Eric
it comes
that
back
many
on your,
times.
the people using your, use the system too, and they're paying, but we're backing them up. So we want to make sure everybody does their due diligence when they're coming up with their budgets, that's all.
Absolutely.
As far as the users are concerned, we might want to make a comment here for television, that when the campus went offline, it didn't cut proportionately to the expense of operating the sewer plant.
No, it doesn't, did
And
not.
so people saw an increase then. Now, it's going to be a while before we see a change, but there should be slight decrease.
I don't know whether decrease, but stabilize.
Okay.
I don't want to say decrease.
All
Obviously,
right.
we don't want to promise anybody that their bills are going to go down, but more of a stabilization of a more consistent sewer rate. And since I've been here, the last 4 years, it was $9.45 per 100 cubic feet. The first year, then $10, $10.
Yeah,
And now it's at $11.65. So we didn't raise it for 3 years.
Yeah.
We are trying to look out for the sewer users as much as possible. Trust
Yes.
me.
Yeah.
We're trying to keep it as low as possible.
okay.
But
And
I mean, best case scenario, yes. If we have a ton down there and the sewer commissioners decide that that's what they want to do, then that's what we'll do. So.
Would you
and
have-
I don't see a large influx at first either. They're
It's
gonna
going to
be
take a few years, I'm sure.
coming in gradually.
Yes, absolutely.
Would there be 2 rates, one possibly for the school and one possibly for the residents? Is that something that you would consider
I
doing?
don't think it was before, was it?
It wasn't before, but like I said, that would be up to the commissioners themselves. They would have to do some research on it and figure out if that's what they wanted to do.
It's something that we have decided on. Not exactly decided on, but we've looked into it, and like Eric said, we'd have to do some research on it.
The only hard part with that is if you do that to them, you may have to do it to the other business owners in town, which would hurt the wanting to attract businesses into town. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. It'd be nice to have that revenue, but if it also, the more businesses we can have in here, it's more revenue for everybody.
Anything grandfathered in at before.
He wants to rewrite rules.
No. I want to offset some of the costs that
No,
we're going
I
to incur
understand.
because of the school coming in.
No, and there will be some other costs down there, I'm sure. Especially if we started, like right now, we're only running half the plant. Once we get the other half up, there's going to be some things that need to be addressed. So,
One question always
Yes.
comes up, and good
Yes.
time to just publicize an answer. We don't take any dumping of pumping of sewer systems yet, do we? Has
no,
there
ma'am.
been
We
any?
don't have a receiving facility for it.
Okay.
Most towns, Montague, Irving, they have an actual spot in their plant to receive sewage. You come to find out that it isn't really money-wise with the grit you get from it, the more you have to treat, the more polymer, the chemicals you use and such. It's not as worth it unless you're taking in
Yeah.
huge volumes like
Okay.
some of the plants do.
Yeah,
So, and ours couldn't handle huge volumes whatsoever, so,
no.
unless
Okay.
there's expansion or something like that.
Because those questions come up every once in a while.
No, absolutely, no, I agree. And I've tried everything I can to save money and to
Yeah,
make money, and I think we're kind of at the spot right now where we're waiting to see what happens up here, and I'm hoping that really does,
yeah.
being able to update down there, so it'll be nice to see what the 20-year plan looks like when it comes out, so.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just checking here on your capital plan. I think you've got,
We didn't put anything in for the capital
No.
plan because we are waiting for DPC engineers to get us the 20-year plan. We didn't want to allocate any funds anywhere until we see that and see where they think we best should use the money.
okay, and what's happened, and one other item was the Highland Avenue, wasn't it? Where does that stand? There we go,
Which one?
yeah.
$250,000.
Which one's that?
Oh, that's on the old, that's on the old
That's an old
capital
one, that was on the old
plan.
one, and it was slated
Oh,
for
oh, oh, oh.
2019.
That is included in the 20-year plan. We gave them all the information that we had on the Highland Avenue project and what it would cost, and they're gonna build it into the 20-year plan.
So who's working on, when's that coming back to you?
It
It's
should be
20
by
years.
June of this year, 2018.
So you don't anticipate starting that work though?
No, absolutely not till the following fiscal year. It's not gonna be, we're not gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be, 2020,
Okay, so we'll be moving that over.
yeah.
All right. Any further items to discuss or ask
Nope.
about? All right. Thank you for coming in. Nice to meet you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah. As far
When
as
I first started this, I didn't need these. Now I need these.
Eric,
6 years later,
same here.
6 years later, I gotta bring them up, like looking all over the house for
It
them.
took me longer than 6 years to get to this point,
Eric, I
but
think in your box you can find a thing for finances that the sewer commissioners have to fill out.
I got them. I
Okay.
got them for you.
Has to be
I guess-
I'm gonna hand it in tomorrow. It's down in my folder to come
Thank
up to
you.
you tomorrow.
Thank you.
as far as I hear, you're doing a good job.
Hope so. Thank you, Lois.
Okay, you're welcome.
Have a good day. How are you? How have you been?
All right.
I haven't seen you in forever.
Take your assessors. Yeah, I had the assessors out just before I left and probably didn't put it back in. Yeah, there it is. I got it. Assessors. All right, Bob? Wanna come up, talk about the assessor's budget?
I have to apologize first, that I haven't gotten you, the Board of Health yet. We didn't have a meeting and we're having one this Thursday. I want to approve on a budget.
All right, I was gonna ask you about that.
Well, that's why I figured I'd cut it off at the,
Okay, all right. Everybody.
what was that?
All right, what we're gonna talk about is any changes in your budget request. And so, you left the salaries and wages blank, which is good. We'll take care of that. Property inspection, you're going up 4,500. It's a reval year.
Yep.
That's
Yes,
what it costs for it?
yes. Yep.
What's this mean, reval year and for town?
Is that for both? Is that for the first light or?
First light comes later. We'll discuss that.
Yeah.
I think it means reval year for town, that's why it's
For the
plus.
town.
Oh, the plus was
Okay.
because it's an increase?
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, okay, but reval year for the town, okay, got it. Then we go down to assessors expense.
Oh, yeah, that was confusing. That plus was just she,
Yep.
that's
Yeah.
a plus.
It's an increase,
Expense.
that's it. Okay.
Maintenance.
How often you do, every third year for the reval?
Every third year.
Yeah.
Well, every 9 years, but it's, we do a third of the town.
Yeah, okay. Next is the map maintenance going up 100.
Mm-hmm.
Anything change on it or just increased cost?
What's that?
Any change in what you do on it or just an
No,
increase in
these are
cost?
just from the contracted services, so they tell us,
Okay.
almost like an assessment.
Now, computer support. Now,
Right.
you've got down 6,300, which would be an increase of 300, or 7,800, which is an increase of 18. Can we take our choice?
We'll take the lower choice.
Take the low one.
Yeah.
This is Beth, I was schooled on this the other day and I'd forgotten. Of course, Beth made these out, but when we get to the reverse, that's when it gets fun.
Okay.
Backs that.
You don't know whether that's computer. Do you know anything about what you're talking about there?
No, I don't.
Is that the
I didn't
$1,800 on the next
I
page?
didn't, yeah, I didn't really look at this up until
Is
tonight,
that
so I don't know.
Is that the $1,800 that's on the second page? Is that
Oh,
what the
maybe it
increase, or
is.
is that something totally different?
Maybe it
You have
is.
2 pages?
No.
So that's either
Yeah.
63 or plus 1,500.
No, that's
But
a
I-
reval.
That's something
But
else.
that's
Related-
something else. That's something else.
Related
Yeah.
to the back.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll ask her next meeting.
Let's call it 6,300, and we'll talk on the back page about it.
Otherwise, that's it on your budget.
Oh,
Yes.
maybe it's the 1,500.
It is.
Plus the,
It is.
yeah, plus the 3.
And look what I got in my.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Do
Oh,
not lose
yeah,
Bob's
yeah.
copy, do not lose that one.
Yeah, that's what it must be.
Yeah.
That, if we went for that.
Right.
That's right. Okay, the online service, that's what it would be.
All right, we'll get to that in a minute then. On your rest of your capital items here, 1,800 First Light reval. It all depends on,
We're gonna do this with Irving.
Yeah.
We had a meeting with Irving, the assessors and town administrator went. And we've been trying to get access to the firm that does the evaluations. And I think we've gotten there, but there's gonna be some differences. It's 30 grand to do the whole assessment on the entire property. What DOR, for whatever good the advice is, I better be careful saying that, we're saying you should probably do it annually, which would mean it would be on us. There's a whole lot of stupidity here, and we have, the agreement we forged with them ends in 19, so we may have to go and do it in 2020, our portion of it, so we still have to work that out. And we still don't know what Irving has done, what's happened at the ATB with their cases. They settled 14, but then 15, 16 we're not aware of. If they're going to settle, or how that comes out in the mix. So we changed the equation in that we covered ourselves through 19. We agreed with them to settle the past lawsuits. They gave us the amount that was 103 that was
the ATB is the appellate tax board.
yeah. So, some things are up in the air, but this will be 2020. Whether we have to, we were looking too at going with a different service, a different firm, other than George and the firm that does the assessment. But then there'd be legalities with that too, because if you had two different figures come in, it's just a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah. And you're working on it with Irving then?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this property record card online service, apparently the cost, I know this has been talked about for years.
This started, I think, with Brian, and some other people recommended, let's modernize, let's do all this. And we discussed it then, it was more money, it was about $3,000 or something. There's a cost to put us on, and there's a cost to maintain it, which is at least $1,500 a year. And in talking with Beth, I said, how many requests do you get in a year for property? She said 20, 25, so 20 to 30 requests, I don't think justifies an expense like that to modernize. It doesn't make a lot of sense, so that's where that came from. And I don't know if anybody is, recommending to Beth, but we're in a quandary about it. I think we voted not to do it the last time, and I don't see a need to do it.
Okay, let's talk about it. As I understand it, a lot of towns do have this
Yes,
available.
a lot of towns do.
And the lack of requests, who knows? It may be just because, okay, they know it's not available, so why bother to even ask, you know?
It is available. Anyone can come in and ask for their information.
And get it here.
Yes.
But not
Well, if she's
online.
here, she can get it to you and get it out to you. If she's here, she can do that. But
Yeah.
if she's not here, this is for the person on a Friday or a Sunday that wants to know what the evaluation, right? And they would go out on the line
Yeah.
and they would be able to do it that way. So
Yes.
it's for business hours that this is what people would use it. 90% of the people are realtors.
They could call and request it. Beth would send it to
Yeah.
them. There are a lot of methodologies they
Yeah.
can use. They don't have to come in while Beth is here
Because I
necessarily.
get the calls first usually and just pass it over to Beth and she knocks it off. The only time it becomes somewhat of an issue is when she's not here. But most of the realtors, I believe, realize that she isn't here. So I don't know if $1,500 is an expense yearly. That would be
Yeah.
the yearly to upgrade it. Is something that for 25, 30 people, as far as doing it, if it's worthwhile. Again,
I don't think it is personally. And the other thing, and I probably shouldn't say this, I'm known for saying things I shouldn't say, is that I think there'd be a lot of dissension. I think people would go on and say, hey, my neighbor's tax rate is this and mine is this. And
they have the right to come in and check that out.
Sure they do.
doing that. But to sit home and try to do it, I can see that could be a little bit of an issue. But I'm also looking at the fact that we're trying to save money here as far as
Well,
that.
that's
If something
totally
is
what
not
it is.
absolutely necessary, I think that we should probably think about tabling the idea.
Well,
for a
I
while.
kind of think that it's something, we need to think about something like that for the future though, for modernizing and up to date. If people look for everything online these days.
Well, yes and no. And people complain about the transfer station. So previous Friday, I decided to close it. Tom couldn't get up there and plow. The school was closed. That's how we've maintained this in the past. If the school is closed, the transfer station's closed. And there were a lot of complaints. So I'm getting with 22, Channel 22 and HAI, but then Friday, Sandra isn't here to put it on the website, but people don't check the website anyway. So
And then what happens if it's a Saturday? School, you can't go by what the school does.
Yeah,
The
they could
school-
call, or if we, and I call Dave and say, would you put it on Neighbors? But people
Yeah.
aren't going to Neighbors to see if the transfer station's open.
That's
So-
when I saw it, but.
If
Maybe,
it's,
maybe occasionally what we need to put out in the recorder and out there, if it's a snow day, use your common sense, probably it's not open because it's the last thing that's gonna get plowed.
But this was kind of emergency type notice that.
yeah, and I mean, there's some common sense to it. If it's a really bad day, you could figure the transfer station's gonna open a little later, or you could figure that they weren't gonna open.
Yeah,
And it was open Saturday, and I had to go in and we had to decide that, so that was fine. But it's also like a soldier's right to complain. It's a citizen's right to complain, I think. And, you know,
It does say on the website that if the schools are closed, the transfer station is closed. It does say
and you
that.
could also call the transfer station shack. Not that you'd necessarily get an answer, because if they're outside, they don't hear the phone necessarily,
Right.
or if they're shoveling snow, they all get together and shovel. So.
no answer doesn't prove that they're not there necessarily.
No, and if you want to go and it's closed, you made the decision. And
So we're getting a little off the subject, getting into solid waste when we come back to that, so.
so that's why I said let's make it 6,300 on the front. And the second, first light reval interim year 20. This is what I had alluded to on the.
Yeah, I understand that. Basically,
That's going to be a nightmare.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's gonna be 4 times if it doesn't come out the way they're doing it now,
Right.
is what you're saying.
And DOR had suggested, why didn't we do it annually? Why did, come on, guys.
that's an expensive thing to do annually.
Yes.
As I understand it,
hard to pay for it. On their part, yeah.
And so, again, now, this is what we went to. We went, George, the firm in Vermont, upped it. This is why we're all involved with legalities. It went up to 103 million, and they said, no, we really valued it at 42 or 5. And we had 65, and it just was a nightmare. So that's why we can't have 2 different firms evaluating it.
No.
Because that's going to be a nightmare
so,
constantly.
now, I know about the man you dealt with was Gus, and he was killed in an accident. There must be somebody else on site.
Don't know who that is now.
You don't.
No, and it also changed hands. I mean, the staff is the same, but the
Corporate office.
corporate offices and their input might be a lot different than it was previously.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. I mean, it's in their best interest too, in everyone's best interest, to just work this out. And I think the deal we made previously was an excellent deal. See what happens the next time it comes around, and what George is going to have a hard time doing a reeval and not coming in with the similar figures. So it's going to be interesting.
Okay, so I'm looking at the capital plan for this coming fiscal year, and it's the reval that's on there. And that's it for the assessors. All right, any questions from anybody? Nothing at all? Do you have any questions for us or anything?
Well, I don't know. No, well, maybe since you're here, something that I'm curious, I just don't understand, is we got 35,000 for compactor, and we spent 14,800 I think it was, and replaced compactor number 2, and that's working great. I just got a call Saturday, late afternoon from Bill over there, and he said, 4's not working. I said, what do you mean? He said, nothing, and I reset and all this. So I went over there today, and it's fine. It's working well. I think it's the cold that's playing havoc. But, so of the 35, we spent 15, and Willie had asked me, do you mind if that went to the legal search for the fire department? I said, no, we're not gonna, But I just wonder how if that's a town meeting item, how it can be decided to change the allocation and instead of having it go back to the general fund. And there's still 5,000 in there.
Well, it did go to town meeting.
Yeah, it was in town meeting.
It was done.
Yeah,
it
it was
was
done in
done
town
at
meeting.
town
That's where it's
meeting.
transferred from.
Yeah.
I guess I knew that.
We understood that you
Yeah.
gave it up.
Oh, yeah,
Well,
we didn't, that was fine.
And the
We
town-
didn't, but what about the other 5,000 now?
That sits there.
And then we'll go back
for
to
now.
general fund.
Well, basically, at the end of the year, I want people to say the project's either completed or abandoned.
Okay,
And then
And
it
if
would close.
if it's neither, then I don't feel comfortable with closing it. But if you've already got your compactor and you transferred the money out and that's left, then it seems logical that it would be
Sure.
closed.
Close
and
Right.
that's good. Then I was-
But we can't take money out of it in the middle of the year without town meeting vote,
Right.
and it was voted at town
But
meeting.
this is
We
what I didn't
don't just
understand.
take
one
it
time
away
is
like that, no.
The
it takes
school
it-
system had money for something, weatherization, something, and there was a lot left. And they went to town meeting and asked that it be changed to something else. And I thought that was a little wrong. I thought it should have gone back to general fund or back to the town and then been reallocated.
Well, it's the same thing if
Well-
town meeting reallocates it. Basically, it's the same as if it had closed
I
and
guess so.
then that money was like in the big pot to be
Yeah.
recycled. But town meeting can reallocate an article if
Yeah.
if the purpose isn't
Okay.
needed anymore.
What I would caution you on though is, how many compactors do you have?
4.
And one of them is new, you just replaced.
One of them's brand new. The first one we've ever had brand new.
How old are the others?
Older. We have 6,000 for maintenance too, and when they replaced that, I asked them to do maintenance. I've got a request for Tom to go over with Sam. We're gonna work on number 1. Number 1 is sounding terrible. I think there's paper, ice, and stuff jammed in it underneath, so we're gonna clean that. We have 6,000 the town allocated for maintenance.
Nice.
So we've got to get 3 and 4 looked at that way.
Okay.
And when they come back to make sure.
That's the only thing to think about when you gave up the money and so forth. If any of these, how much maintenance money do you keep putting into something before it's money down a hole? And so you have no money to replace a compactor at this time.
Right.
Unless you use the revolving fund.
Yeah, well, that's true. And the one that we replaced that died, and I'll show pictures if you're interested, it rotted out from the top. There's a plate steel
Yeah.
top, and
Yeah.
it completely rotted out. It was an 2007 model, which doesn't sound that old to me.
10
So
years?
this is the issue now. I want to talk to the maintenance guy, Tom and Sam, about lifting up the wood that's over it and looking at all the other ones to make sure they're not rotted through. Because
It's wood underneath them?
well, there's wood on the top, but they're boards. So salt and water and things go through. You
Sure.
want to see a picture? You
Yeah.
interested? No.
When you come
very
in
interesting.
for solid waste, as far as doing it, I have a question though. Your fees those are going right back in the general fund. Why didn't you see if you could allocate that for maintenance repair, and then the remainder go back into the general fund? Could that be done?
If you had a special revolving fund, but
Takes town meeting vote.
Yeah, it
She
takes a
doesn't
town
like
meeting
revolving.
vote. I'm
Well, I
not
know,
a big
I
fan
know.
of revolving funds. They have their recycling fund anyway, so.
Well, because basically, wasn't that upping the transfer fee was to help out with maintenance of the
Well, we had asked the
equipment?
town, we've got 6,000 a year, and so this was to go at that, to try and replace that 6,000.
But it's
Well,
through the
that's
general
fine.
fund.
And you're actually kind of doing that, but you're putting that money right into the general fund. Why couldn't you use it
You
that
could,
way?
you
And then the
could.
remainder, because if you have a catastrophic problem, it's more than $6,000, you'd have the money to do that and then be able to put it back. I think that you should have taken that transfer station fee that you're doing, put it into that kind of a fund, and then at the end of the year, yeah, if it all comes back in, that's fine. If you needed to use it for maintenance and repairs, you'd have to come up with language for the town meeting to do that.
Well, we also have the revolving fund, as Deb pointed out, we can use that if we need to too. And that's a good chunk of change. This is why in the past, we just used the monies that were coming in from containers and paper and cardboard. And that was 40 or 50 bucks a ton, which went away. And this, I want to talk to the finance committee at some point about this. I've got to go to next town meeting and request capital money for a project over there, which is to handle our own containers.
That should have been, well, that will be on your.
That will be on my thing.
Okay.
And it's been on there for several years. But, and I'm going to go around and see if I can sell that to PTO, different groups. I want to talk to people and see what their complaints are. But we talked about this for years. I came to the finance committee and you guys said, no, it's too much information. And Jan was telling me, let me try and see if she could make some changes, which she couldn't. Janamine's on board with this. And the idea was we would handle our own containers. And we would save and make a tremendous amount of money. So
Now that would be a special article then for town meeting, and
Yeah.
they're receiving them till the end of February, select board is.
right, and this
So
is
then we'd have to talk about them too.
Yeah, when you
Yeah.
came.
But the revolving fund for fees, basically, there is DOR feeling that it shouldn't be for just a revenue that is for a basic service that you provide.
Okay, I
It
just
should be for a
want-
special, unique program.
Well, it'd be for
And
maintenance.
basically, you're not going to be, well, no, a special, unique program.
Oh, program.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
program.
This
that
is
you're-
kind of an operating expense type of
Yes,
thing.
it is.
But the other-
And taking it out of the general fund revenue, it's just a total wash.
Yeah, I know.
It's
just-
a total
it's
wash.
just-
You're not
it would
saving
be-
anything because your estimated receipts are going down by not having that in there. Plus, you're
Yeah.
taking away the control of the appropriation process, really.
Yeah.
And you're putting part of a general operating budget out in this other world. I'm not a fan.
No, I was just curious as far as doing that, if it, for transparency for the people that,
Well, it's not
paying a fee
transparency,
and saying,
really.
the reason it went up is because it's costing more for the.
I think we have talked about it before.
it wasn't.
We'll discuss it
It wasn't,
later.
let me say, you brought it up, it wasn't capricious. And it was the $6,000 we got in maintenance from the town, the general fund. And also, this is something that irks me, is that there are a percentage of people, I don't know what to call it, 7, 8, 10%, that don't use that. And yet they pay for it if it comes out of the general fund. If they're paying taxes to the town, property taxes, and we're taking money from that, they're paying for that service as well as paying for someone to come pick up their trash. So we want to try and make it revenue neutral. And that the people that are, like the sewer, people that are using that service are paying for it. That was another reason we raised the fee. And so that just goes back to general fund, because it does not break even yet. It's
Bags
close,
do
but it does.
too. Well, you have to buy the bags. I mean,
And that's going back into the general fund as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. I mean, if it was to be a full-blown enterprise fund, that's where you're wanting
Actually,
to
we
go with
discussed
it.
this, and I'd rather not do that, and that was the advice. But there's enough money, we'll discuss this, there's enough money where we would save money. We spent 34 or 5 on hauling, that's the budget, hauling and some other things. We sent 2 tons or less to Springfield every week of containers that are valuable. So if we weren't doing that, if we were saving the aluminum, compacting the plastic, storing it, and then sending it out once or twice a year, we'd save all that hauling right there. There's tremendous reasons to do this. And also, Jan, I've asked her, what happens when you retire, Jan? There's no district when Jan's gone, in my view, and I really believe this. And she said, I'm not planning to retire. She's 53, and if she wanted to retire, she could move away, and that would be that. And we could be left on our own. Like Wyndham County made stupid decisions, in my view, about closing their MRF, and they're paying a lot more money. I want to have this in Northfield's control. I don't want to see it outside.
I think last year when this was brought up, it was suggested that you come up with a written business plan to present, because when you talk about this in the kind of concept detail that
We need specifics.
yeah, you can't really wrap your head around that when it's just in an oral presentation. It needs to be like a business plan.
Maybe Jan could
She
work
will,
with you on
and
it.
we've discussed it, and one of the trouble, it's like other businesses, the cost, the prices are all over the place, they change. But there's, what the Wyndham County does now, they still do papered cardboard. They've gotten out of everything else, so the other towns are scrambling to pay someone to take away containers that are valuable. The aluminum is, all right, I won't go into it, but I'll
Actually, this isn't assessor's stuff.
No, that's why I was gonna say, let's bring it up when you come in with solid waste.
Yeah.
we'll have a special meeting, special finance committee meeting about this.
Well, we'll have your
When
budget.
you have your business plan.
We'll have your back in for the Board of
Yeah,
Health budget
yeah,
then,
yeah.
so.
We'll do that.
Can we
All
talk about this then?
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
The Board of Health, Mike, you said somebody's gonna inspect those other compactors to see what's, if they're
Yeah.
rotted or anything like that.
Yeah.
And there's $5,000 left from the compactor thing there.
Yeah,
Rather
that was
than
for
closing that out.
purchase of new.
Right, purchase of new, but rather than
Replacement.
closing that out and say it's done, can we keep that
You'd have to read.
open?
Or reappropriate
Reappropriate.
it.
I know you'd have to
It's gotta be
reappropriate it
for,
afterwards,
the
but,
way
For a
it's voted
different
now is
purpose.
for replacement.
right, but you
Yeah.
said you
Yeah.
either close it out or, you know, whatever.
Town meeting could reappropriate it to a different.
Yeah.
Could it be reappro, could we hang on?
6 of one, a half a dozen of the other, though.
Well, in a way, yeah, but
If you want to keep it specifically for that type of use, that would be.
Well, I'm saying that if
Yeah.
those compactors need significant repair,
But there won't be any special town meeting now till
annual. But
I
that's
know.
coming right up.
And we have
Maybe
6,000
a year
annual.
before you know
I
it,
know
yeah.
that, but I'm just saying if it's more.
Yeah.
Hopefully it isn't, but
Yeah,
more
well,
than that, certainly before the town meeting, I wouldn't close that $5,000.
Oh,
Oh,
no,
she wouldn't anyway, no.
it wouldn't
I don't know
anyway.
when that
No.
would
I'm
happen.
It would
changing
happen
my
at the
name
year
to
end.
Town of Northfield. I figured then I'll just get these checks in.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Yep. Okay, our next item is the minutes of the December 11th meeting. And I just have a comment on that there was something said about revising the letter I had to go to the supporting what the principal over at Pioneer had done about changes she wanted to make over there. And it said something about we said something in the last meeting about changing that because we didn't want to get into any financial obligation. It's too late now. The school committee was meeting that following week. The select board sent their letter in, so I didn't prepare anything more on that. So what do you want to do with the minutes here?
I'll make a motion we approve them as written.
I second it.
Motion has been made and seconded that we approve the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Abstain? So voted. Okay. And
Excuse me, don't staple them because I have to put it on the letter. I have to
that
unstaple
came
it.
from Beth, that one.
Oh, I talked to
You
her.
get after
I'll talk
her.
to her. I have to scan them first.
Oh, sure, okay. All right, and on communications. Deb did the December 31st balances, and as I mentioned, the two enterprise funds as well. We got those, and I sent those out to everybody. Okay.
Deb, I want to thank you for the statement with Bob, because I asked him that last year to put it in writing, get it outlined, get it down there so we could understand it, not being off, going.
Well, it seems that he has all of these great ideas, and they're just all coming out, but nobody can really put a handle on
Exactly.
how it would really work.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember, he was supposed to sit down with Brian.
Well, I think that was actually Paul that was going to help him with that last year.
It was.
Brian was gone before last year's town meeting.
Yeah, I think it was right around. I think it was.
It started talking to Brian. We discussed it, and again, he has the plan, but it's not something you can look at. Like you guys are doing with the fire department and that. You have to have some kind of a base to start with, and then you can justify it. And he's got great ideas, but let's put it down in writing somehow.
You have to have some idea, a plan, and you have to see what it's going to cost.
Yeah, because otherwise I'm listening to you, I'm agreeing with you, but show me the facts.
Yeah.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier here, there's a communication from the town administrator. The Board of Selectmen has voted to open the annual town meeting warrant on January 1st for receipt of warrant article requests. Please submit money and non-money article requests no later than Tuesday, February 27th by noon to the administration's office. Now that, some of you were involved, but there used to be a separate date for money articles and non-money articles, and there's no need, so they've combined them all in the same one now. Reports of meetings attended representing Finance Committee.
There have been no meetings of the public safety because we're still awaiting the final determination on the title deed issue.
Okay.
I've not had any communications. I think that's the key. We're just waiting for that, and then and then we'll schedule a meeting in our response to what happens. And obviously, everything else has been put on hold, basically.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Right now, we're just treading water, and and again, I think that reasonably we should hear some, hopefully by first or second week of February, probably.
Okay. And you're on the Town Governance Study Committee.
I have not heard, seen, or anything.
It was I noticed it on the agenda for the select board meeting that was scheduled for last Thursday, and of course it was canceled when the town hall was closed, so I don't know what it means, what they're gonna do about it, or what.
Again, since I've been on this, I have not received one piece of communication, verbal, written, or anything.
Nothing's happened?
Absolutely nothing.
No. Okay. Tony, CPA?
The Community Preservation Committee, we're just awaiting proposals to come in. We're meeting next week. They are due next week, and I have one that I picked up today. So we'll be looking at those and meeting probably on Thursday, the 18th, to start discussing those.
Whoever's getting the agenda, get it into Sandra, because I won't be here to stamp it, but she can.
Okay.
And then you'll be getting articles into the select board for whatever you're recommending.
Figure out what we're doing.
Okay.
And, well, I said, we don't, we're just waiting on that committee.
Yes.
On the Heart
Heart
Committee,
Committee, yeah.
I missed the last meeting, but there's all sorts of things going on with that, with proposals and grants that might be coming. We've finalized our request for proposals for the Pioneer District, okay? And hopefully that will be going out this month.
Proposals.
Request for proposals for the study that we talked about how we can make improvements at the, well, not we, but
Okay,
We got a grant, we got about $20,000 for that. We got a little bit more, but we're using it for, part of it for other things. But the Montague committee is,
150, right?
they put in for something like 200,000.
Yeah, they got it.
They got
I think they got it. I think they did. I thought I
They
heard
got
that.
it, and we've been
I thought I heard
we're
that.
talking about maybe merging the two and seeing what,
Some of the same problems. you mean?
they're pretty much the same
Yeah.
problems.
yeah,
And also included in that were the possibility of combining districts, changing, there's a lot of different, moving parts going along out there.
Okay.
So, we don't know, our next meeting is when, 17th.
you meet monthly or more often than that?
Every other week.
Yeah, okay,
So we've been meeting quite often.
yeah, I'd say so.
And so we, hopefully we'll know for sure what's happening then, and we'll have a better idea of how to proceed. But, right now, we want to address our particular issues.
Yes, yeah.
And then at least concentrate on those, and then somehow tie in with this Gil Montague committee. And
What about the regional agreement? Is they got?
regional agreement is we've got that pretty well. And a lot of it is just bringing up to date with current law.
Okay, yeah,
Changing
yeah.
where it really isn't a big thing here.
Okay,
There's some things about changing the names of schools in there. For instance, they have
yeah,
Lyden Elementary, it's the Pearl Road Elementary,
Yeah.
This kind of thing.
and more with
But-
this community school.
And more community school, so, and there were some things that, the people from the state recommended they take out, we've
Yes.
take that out, it's fine. But there's a lot of, nitty gritty, we're trying to sit down with the school committee to say, okay, what about the law part of it? We don't have,
Yeah.
we don't know about the law part of it.
No,
And they need to put into that district agreement what the law says.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff, for instance, this agreement says kindergarten through grade 12. It's pre-K to grade
Yeah.
12. There's a lot of little things like that, but there's no, we don't see any big changes at all in the
Okay.
district agreement.
No.
Um,
no major things that are illegal now that were legal at one time or anything like
Well, there
that.
was a couple of things there. For instance, one thing was, it states in the district agreement that it is, I was under the impression, and many others were too, that elementary school students had to be
In the town.
educated in their town.
Yeah,
Doesn't say
That
that.
doesn't say that. It says it's expected that they will be in town, educated in their town.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
people
that
have talked,
allows flexibility.
it does, but people were thinking that they have to.
oh,
And that came up because there's been some discussion about
yes,
closing Pearl Road Elementary. And then they would have to obviously be
yeah,
gone bus somewhere else. So, I mean, we would keep that flexibility in that, certainly.
Sure.
Because, who knows what's gonna happen? We don't know.
no,
And we really were waiting for the study, the results to come back from the study, which would include people talking to all the different, what's the word I want, the stakeholders in the district, the teachers, parents,
Yeah.
students, townspeople,
yeah,
and seeing what they want. We don't want to, go say, hey, this is what we're going to have.
Yeah.
We want to say, okay, you tell us what you want,
yes, yeah,
and then we'll see how we can accomplish it. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, we'll be meeting next week on the 17th.
Mhm.
And we'll meet on the 18th next week. And we don't meet next week.
no.
No, we
It's
have a
holiday.
holidays on Monday, which is
This,
good.
the 15th. Monday is Martin Luther King.
Right, so we're not meeting next week, so I don't.
22nd.
I only have 2
Yeah.
meetings that week,
Yeah.
that night, so we'll have
Yeah,
3.
our next meeting is the 22nd, 2 weeks from tonight, 6 o'clock. So, all right, does anybody have anything else?
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much.